I'm going to talk you through some of the really fun features that Apple has unveiled for iOS 9. What this is a sort of predictive personal assistant. That's kind of how Apple's talking it up. It's activated via the search screen. On the iPad you'd see it would be like this, but we haven't been using this enough for Proactive to start learning our habits. That's what it needs to do. But you look in the iPhone, my colleague has been using this day to day. It's starting to learn what sorts of things he does at certain times of day and in certain locations. So now it's 10:30 on a Friday morning. It expects Jim to call or email these 3 people, so it's starting to offer suggestions of people that it thinks Jim might want to speak to. It's offering apps that he thinks he tends to use around this time. The idea is that the more you use it, the more useful it will get. So, if you wake up in the morning and you always put music on your iPhone straight away, then it will learn that and it will start offering a shortcut from this screen. This sort of thing can be very useful. It's also looking at things that are nearby based on location, and it's also offering some news, a slightly unsavoury news story there if you want to watch that. So as I said, this is activated via the search screen, which, going back to older versions of iOS, used to be activated like this from swiping left from the first home screen. You may find it slightly creepy that it's listening in on what you get up to, but I would say it's for a good cause. It will make things a lot more convenient. It will try and predict what you want to do next and make it very easy for you to do that. So that's Proactive. Talk about multitasking now. This is something we've been asking for a long time, particularly in the iPad, which is actually the only device that gets it. So let me show you a little bit of this. Let's say we open Notes. Now, I've created a document called Notes from email. So what we'll do is we swipe in from the right, and I've selected my email in the past. So I've got an email here, Notes for the meeting. So you can imagine in this situation it would be very convenient to have your email open in one side of the window, if you like, and the Notes document in the left, and so I can cut and paste from this into this. We've been trying this out a little bit, and it is very buggy. It locks up when I try and do a copy and paste from one to the other. It did work eventually, but it was very slow. So I'm not going to do that now, but it is a good sort of scenario in which it would be useful to have both things open at the same time. If you want to go back into a different app, they all seem to be available in this cut down version. So you could have Maps, for example. If you had an email in the main document and you were looking at the route you had to take and you were typing down directions, something like that, it could be very useful. On the iPad Air 2, you'll be able to actually have both apps running at the same time. So if you see at the moment, one of them is active and one of them is darkened, so you're actually only interacting with one at a time. It just shows you the last state of the other one. But on the iPad Air 2, with the multitasking on that, you'll be able to scroll up and down. That's what they showed in the keynote. While we're talking about Notes, I think that's the third thing I'd like to talk about. It's been changed quite a bit. Well, first of all, let's talk about the new things we can do. You'll see that the keyboard's been changed a little bit. There's some new shortcut buttons. We'll talk about those in a bit. But let's look at this one here. This is for adding sort of sketches to your notes. It's quite fun. So let's say we wanted to create a note about a garden design, say. So we'll pick the green colour, and so there's the lawn. Let's say we'll have some trees. So what you could do is add that to the note and then carry on typing. and it's quite a nice way of integrating the visual and the text. There's a nice little ruler tool as well, which you can adjust like this, and it shows you the angle at the same time. You can then draw along that with one of these tools. Move that down. There's a few other smaller changes. You can, if you like, you press this button here, and it lets you do notes. You know, this sort of thing, and it's quite a nice sort of. That should work. Yeah, and it would automatically create that as a to-do list that you'd then be able to tick off. So there's a few other little changes like that in Notes, which has been given a revamp. Bit of a neglected app, I would say. Now looking a bit smart. While we're on the subject of the keyboard, then let's go back to that. So previously, if you wanted to cut and paste some text, you would have to use the highlight like that, and it would appear in the options. But now you've got these buttons here. So if you tap that, in Notes, the scissors icon down there, and then you get to cut, copy, and paste. One that's a bit more than a tweak, though, I would say, is that if you use two fingers, then it goes grey, see, to indicate that's what's happening, and then from then on, you then select text around it. As I said, very hard to use at the moment. I'm hoping they're going to tweak it a little bit. One last thing I want to talk to you about the keyboard is the Shift key, the notorious Shift key, which obviously it just goes between white and grey. Always has done. Very hard to tell whether it's on or off. But what you'll have noticed is that the actual keys change from upper to lowercase, so you can tell more easily whether you're in upper or lowercase. Maps now has public transport directions. Let's say we wanted to get to, well, where should we go? How about the Natural History Museum? Let's see if we can find that. Now, it's offering driving directions, as it always did, but I think, yes, so now you see directions, 26 minutes by car, 32 minutes by this tram, not actually a tram obviously. There's the route. If we start, and then it gives us public transport directions, which is new. I should stress it's new to iOS. Google Maps has been offering this since before there was an Apple Maps, so don't get too excited. But it's nice that it's in Apple Maps. There's a new section of settings in the General tab called Battery. Well, here we go. That's perfect timing. The iPhone has just gone down to 20% battery. You notice that it's offering low power mode, so we can immediately choose that. This reduces animations and things like this. Apple says it's going to increase the battery life by about 3 hours. Overall, you know, if you stayed in the low power mode. That was very easy. If you want to do it manually, well then you would use this section of the settings. What is it? It also goes dark much quicker than I'd previously set it to. There it is in the iPad. It seems to be different between the iPad and the iPhone. We can't actually access a low power mode in the iPad, so maybe it is just for the iPhone. So if we go into that same, it is a new section, you see that there is the low power mode option, which is now activated. You can switch that on and off. On the iPad you just get a few more details about what's using up your battery, which is quite useful. And the amount of time since the last charge, which I think you could see in the previous settings, but it wasn't in this dedicated section. It's nice that Apple's paying a bit more attention to battery life. I mean, nearly all of these things I've been talking about have been things that people have been demanding for a few years. It's quite nice that Apple is being responsive to these sorts of things. Not necessarily the most innovative update compared to people like Windows and Google, but lots of good stuff, lots of really nicely implemented features. We hope you like it. We think it's a lot of fun. We're going to get the new version, the full version, in September.